Good morning, everybody. And this is Rick Marr, CEO of Turning Point Human Capital Management, and thank you for joining us today. Our topic will surround the current risks you as a business owner face and how to start to mitigate those risks. There will be time for a question and answer session directly following the conclusion of the presentation. Our intention for the presentation is to last 20 to 25 minutes and to give you some thinking points to start to plan for when we come out of this mess that we all find us in today. So please feel free to type your questions in the chat feature or the Q&A feature as you think of them during the presentation, and we'll be happy to answer them at the end. Additionally, this webinar will be recorded. It will be available for viewing and listening and sharing on our website at turningpointhcm.com/webinars, turningpointhcm.com/webinars by tomorrow. And then at that same spot, you can see all of our previously recorded webinars as well. So finally, there will be a brief survey sent to you immediately following this webinar. It is only a few questions and it will only take a couple of minutes for you to complete. We ask that you please complete the survey so that we can keep improving on our content for you and making these presentations better and better each time we do them. So thank you. So let's jump in. So talking about reducing risk and talking about the current turning point in small business and the economy at this moment, and the need to be prepared for the short term and the long term, which it's never been more important than it is today. Sorry, let me turn that off. So let me just do that. Sorry about that. So, anytime we're in a strangely unique position, and anytime we face the unknown, it's scary, right? However, it is also a great time to write the next chapter, to change the rules of the game, and ultimately to set a new course for our businesses. Many people have been following Mark Cuban of Shark Tank and the Dallas Mavericks. And every day he's talking about entrepreneurship and how the next great businesses will be conceived during this tumultuous time. What he's talking about really is identifying risk and mitigating it so that your business can grow and be that next great company that comes out of this whole awful mess. Understand that that you should identify all types of risk, prepare for them, and put an end to the thinking, quote unquote, that's not going to work for us. That's not how we do things. We are in a brave new world. This is Cortez burning his ships when he reached the New World. This is 3 little sailboats leaving Spain in 1492, when everyone at that time thought they would fall off the edge of the earth. This is JFK in 1960 saying, I believe we should, before the end of the decade, send a man to the moon and return him safely to the earth. All of these things took vision, they took courage, and they were born from past failures and new turning points. We are here. We have that opportunity. So think about risk factors, processes in your business, repercussions, and future incidents as it relates to budgeting and other types of things within your business. So being prepared and thinking about how we're going to change after, let's call it May 15th, is one of the most important things we as business owners could be doing right now. So discussing the numerous risks, right? So what risks, and there are numerous, many of them, are business owners currently facing, right? Think about that. Discussing the unknown and the amount of time that we'll be in this lockdown and in this new kind of era that we're in, and what that future may or may not look like is a big unknown in our world, and how to prepare for it. So we want to briefly touch upon how we can do our best to mitigate the risks and prepare ourselves for what may come. It's important to discuss and brainstorm your company's risks, right? Many risks that small businesses are facing or will face are similar to each other's, but each one of them is unique to that company and has subtle differences in their risk and risk factors. It's important to recognize our risks and write them down, right? As simple as that may sound. Make sure they are front of face and top of mind every single day as you're thinking, how are we going to come out of this? Again, using the date of May 15th. And what was the difference between March 15th, which seemed like a million years ago, and May 15th, and how our businesses will change and how we will deal with it. So this is a great time for a SWOT analysis, right? So we've all heard this term before, SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And why is this such a great time for entrepreneurs to do this? And the most basic answer is simple. There's time to do it now, right? Many of our businesses are a little slower than they were prior to March 15th. And think about how many times we have business owners said, sure, I'd love to do a SWOT analysis, but if only I had more time. I'm just too busy right now. So also think about how you conducted your business prior to March 15th, 2020. Think about all of the assumptions you made about pricing, product, target market, sales process, value proposition, client services, the regions you sold to, and all those other assumptions you made to build your business. Are those assumptions still valid, right? What are the risks of doing what you did in the past going forward? There's an old saying that many of us have heard throughout our lifetimes. If you do what you do, you will get what you get. Meaning, if you don't change now, and maybe change might be part of your mindset, the chances of growth and success are greatly reduced. So this is a new world, and now's the time to think about its possibilities. There may be opportunities to mitigate your risk by using new technology, marketing to a new target audience, expanding to a different region, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that. There may be new lines or products that now it makes sense to bolt on to your business. So for instance, if you're a payroll company, it may make sense to bolt on an insurance agency or a million different combinations. So discuss creating a list of the risks you as a business owner are going to face. Each industry may vary, but we will go through some of the risks you may encounter. Preparation is going to be your biggest weapon in the current fight that businesses are facing. Now, you may be saying to yourself, how can I prepare for something like this? Well, you may not be able to fully prepare for what you may face in this unprecedented situation, but you can certainly have backup plans and go-to processes and methods when changing your business or working on limited resources in a trying economy or environment, right? In the movie Apollo 13, Tom Hanks had an unbelievable line that we all know, and it has become part of our lexicon. And here it is: Houston, we have a problem. Right now, as business owners, we are in that same spot. Like Apollo 13, there's no playbook for what just happened to us. We have, in many instances, limited resources. The clock is ticking. So the only thing that we can do is work the problems that we have in front of us and anticipate the next set of issues and take it step by step, right? So I want you to think about the following areas before and after this pandemic hit, and how has your thinking changed about them? So, the major areas of business operations. So your employees and human resources, your operations, your technology platforms, lead gen, budgets, and your customers' needs before and after this. So what has changed, right? What do you believe will change? And how do you believe those things will change? That's the beginnings of risk mitigation and SWOT analysis, and what every business owner should be taking this time to work on right now. Oh, sorry. So let's talk about risks, right, as it relates to your human resources, which was one of the first ones that we identified. So, now we all have, in many instances, employees working from home. You may feel as a business owner that you just lost control. And for some of you, that may be true. For some businesses, working at home may not be feasible. However, there may be an opportunity in this to hedge your business from that next quote unquote pandemic, or even embrace the benefits of working remotely. For example, many parts of your team can work remotely, creating less need to pay rent. Another might be that if you're working remotely, maybe you do not need to hire people that live in, let's say, the Northeast, where it's a higher cost area, right? If your model is to work remotely, you can hire people from other lower cost parts of the country that have lower wage requirements. Each business is different and there's no magic wand, but there is a new way forward if you identify opportunities to work in this brave new world. Regardless of where and who is working for you, embracing the remote experience could help insulate your business from the next issue we will face. So we must think about the mechanics of dealing with remote employees, handbooks and job descriptions and time attendance, and the big one, performance management. The next risk, right, are employees and lawsuits. So as people are being laid off, and as we know, that's been on the order of 25 million people already, probably going higher. And in addition, many people who are nervous about their jobs. So there is plenty of evidence that when employees are nervous about their jobs, there's an increase in incidence in workers' compensation claims, disability and leave claims, and it is natural as they are nervous and may feel like there is no other option. Additionally, there are more opportunities for legal issues and government audit types of things, Department of Labor, et cetera. So think about this, the governments, the states are already, and cities are already talking about they're out of money. Where are they going to get the money that they need to run their operations for the next several years? So the risk is, can you afford to defend, fight, or deal with this type of stuff? If you cannot, then the cheapest way to solve a problem is either to abstain from that behavior that could cause it. So think of it, an ounce of prevention, it could be the best path you're going to go down to mitigate risk. The third thing is recruiting, right? We've heard so many stories of business owners that have complained about the cost of bad hires prior to the close down back on March 15th. For years, business owners did not deal with the cost of a bad hire or how it affected their business, their team, morale, and client retention and all that sort of stuff. This is one risk that should be avoided. In an effort to mitigate that risk and forge a new path, how you recruit, how you select, and how you onboard are going to be essential to your new growth, right? Which leads us to your current employees. Once you identify the direction of your business, and call it May 15th and going forward, are the people you have going to be the people that you need, right? This is a tremendous question, and it could sound callous, but it's a question that needs to be asked of every business owner. In the next few minutes, while you answer this question in your head, put aside, loyalty and appreciation for what your team has done for your business. Put aside all those kinds of feelings and take a moment to answer this one question in its purest and simplest form. Are the people we have going to be the people we need? If the answer is yes, you may be very fortunate. If the answer is no, you have to think long and hard on how to handle it. What are the business risks? What is the human element? And then how will we solve it, right? So these are big questions, big risks that everyone is facing right now. The next risk is an operational risk, set of operational risks. So what we say here is, when it comes to operations, keep the stuff you love, toss what you don't. Tie it in, and then take those, what you keep, and tie it into what needs to be done in the future. So the first step is process and procedure. Think about how everything in your business is connected. It's all a daisy chain, right? Every single thing that happens in your business affects something else. Every time a process breaks down, it either needs to be fixed or understood it can't be fixed and therefore is not a scalable function, and that it will slow down your growth and create need for additional and expensive people power. People power could be a risk in your business. Again, every business is different. Think about how every process, from how you track time to how you send proposals to how you market, this list is endless. And those processes and procedures, you need to find the weaknesses in them and improve upon them to steer your business into the future. Next is team management, right? Again, these are critical functions of your operation that should be looked at. As a business owner, have you ever thought to yourself, prior to March 15th, right? Why can't everyone just come to work and do their job just as if I would do it? If you've asked yourself then that, then there's a risk you face, and it really is a management and operations concern of how to give the employees and the team the best way so that their performance can meet what you need, what the business needs as the business grows after May 15th. The next is client experience and data, right? Client experience was always precious, but maybe even more so going forward, right? The ones that we have are critical that we keep them, especially in the short term as the dust settles. You may be surprised about who remains a client and who is not a client anymore. The client experience is an operations process through and through. Many companies see it as sales or account management type of a function, but think about this going forward. The onboarding of your client is operational and can set the tone for a great client experience. Maybe part of your SWOT, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, dictates using systems and surveys to stay connected. The point is to be open and make sure you are not leaking precious clients out the holes in your operational system. And the next part of that is data, right? Perhaps the biggest weakness many businesses have is actionable data, particularly as it relates to marketing and sales and client acquisition. And we're seeing that now with many clients that we're talking to who said, I'm not as nimble because I can't get to the office. I can't get to the file. It's in my desk, those sorts of things. So this lack of actionable data can create perhaps the biggest risk, and it makes your business slow to react to change, which we are in a changing world. Change is going to be a part of our daily lives for the foreseeable future. So think about this. Imagine there's another shutdown of some sort for some reason. Will you be ready to maintain or grow your business? Will you be able to adapt your business plan and execute upon it? These are big questions that surround data. So as I mentioned, data is a big issue. It's a big risk many business owners are facing today. And from an operations standpoint, you and your team should be thinking about how to grow your data, how to sort your data, and how to act upon your data quickly. In all of these areas that we just mentioned, identify each risk you face operationally and mitigate it by eliminating each of the ways this could harm your business. What is the SWOT on your operating philosophy, your operations, and your operations team? Next, the next risk that we see business owners need to mitigate is around budgeting. So what assumptions did you make prior to March 15th, 2020 when you built your budgets, right? Think about the beginning of March. Doesn't it feel like a million years ago? It can feel that way, not because of the actual time, but rather because of the assumptions we had for so many years. You know, the sun, we always thought the sun would rise in the east and set in the west. You could set your watch to it and plan your days and your business accordingly. Well, on March 15th, 2020, it seems as though the sun did not rise in the east or set in the west. We went into and remain in a place where we cannot assume completely what tomorrow is going to look like. So what do we need to do? We need to make assumptions for what our business and what the world looks like after May 15th, 2020. And it's okay to not know yet what your assumptions for budgeting are. However, what is not okay is to not be planning for it. You should be creating different models with different assumptions and remain as flexible as possible with all aspects of your business. So think about this even in your budgets or in your business. What do you do to build in for the next shutdown? For the time being, it's safe to assume that we're going to have another shutdown. Maybe not to the extent of this one, but not building a cushion in your model is not a safe bet. Think about this now. Think about this. The SBA is trying to get money into the hands of business owners. The SBA's success or failure is a debate for another day. But with that being said, during the next shutdown, there may not be any chance of any help from the SBA or any other entities. So how do you prepare for the cost of another shutdown, and how you will deal with it in its costs and its lost revenues and loss of business and loss of how you do business? So what are the new expenses that must be factored into your budget? So and how do all those things affect your ability to run your business? How does it elevate some functions from pre-March 15th, 2020? And how does it demote, excuse me, quote unquote, some functions after May 15th, 2020? Think of these items and how you've handled them, and then how you will handle them going forward. So things like sales and marketing, customer service, bookkeeping, cyber issues, payroll, HR, insurance, benefits, rent, working remotely, your office configuration, right? Are you going to be able to maintain social distancing in your office configuration? Will you go from an open air space kind of office to back to cubicles with more isolation? The new term that we all use, personal protective equipment, PPE. Will we be wearing them? Will we be testing our employees? What are we going to be doing? These are the things that we may never have really thought of in the past, but in the future will be part of our day-to-day planning for our business. Additionally, it's important to remain nimble, right? So at this point, if you don't know what your budgets are, you need to remain nimble. So you may want to consider things like outsourcing your non-core, non-essential, non-client facing functions, remaining open to your SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats post May 15th is more important than fighting the battle and building the business that happened prior to March 15th, 2020. So think about the following avenues as you're preparing to build your business, and think about a risk that many business owners have with regard to singular dependence, right? And spreading that risk from one person or entity across many. So for instance, no matter what part of your business you look at, if your business is singularly dependent upon one person, entity, or client, then your business remains significantly at risk. Here's a good example that we know of, a company that we helped. They're a payroll company that is, prior to March 15th, successful by any standards. They have about 1,000 recurring revenue clients. They sold, in the old-fashioned way, kind of sitting face to face. It has one person that's really doing all of the selling. And they were experts in the restaurant industry, with about 75% of their client base in New York City in the restaurant industry, right? So prior to, March 15th, that was unbelievably awesome, sound business strategy. But now, looking back, we can see what those risks were, right? Too much geographic concentration, too much of one person selling, too much of one industry, right? So just in those instances, that business or all businesses should now think about how do they spread those risks across all these areas, right? So as I mentioned, in the past, this company would have been called doing it right, but think of their client concentration, geography, industry, sales was one person, one job, right? Now you can see, now that we have a moment to step back from March 15th and this new world, that those things are all significant risks. So we should be selling into different geographies using technology and all that sort of stuff. We should be looking at different industries, because if if they also had a trucking industry or a food service industry, food growing industry or whatever, they might have had less of a problem. Sales being face-to-face. Think about this going forward. Are we rushing back in to go to face-to-face meetings, or are things like Zoom and GoToMeeting and webinars and all that kind of good technology stuff going to become part of the new way that we all interact with each other, right? Do we have multiple people doing critical roles? So for instance, it's unfortunate, but something on the order of, how many thousands of people have died from this pandemic? And our hearts go out to all of those people and their families and friends. But from a business perspective, if the wrong person in the wrong business contracted the wrong disease or has the wrong issue, it can halt the business completely. So from a client concentration, sales, and all sorts of things, we need to start thinking about how we mitigate our risk and spread how we obtain clients and all that stuff. So what are some free resources that we have? And then we'll get to the question and answer session. On our website, we have right on our homepage, there's a free tool to quickly assess your risk. That's turningpointhcm.com. Additionally, we have several white papers on this and many other topics. They're free to get. Again, turningpoint.com, hcm.com/white papers. And then another thing that we put up here was Turning Point careers. So we all know there are a lot of people out of work. Maybe our companies have had to lay people off, but we want to try to help them as best we can. We created this database, applicant tracking system on our website. As we hear of opportunities or jobs that may be open or industries, we can certainly comb through that portal on our website to help find some people some work. I think it's the least we can do. We have access to a lot of businesses that we talk to every day, and fortunately, some are hiring. So we have access to many of those. So our next webinar is going to be for business owners, is going to be on April 23rd at 10 a.m. And the topic is worry less as a business owner. You'll see some marketing on that, but that's that's a big topic. We've heard many stories of people who are laying in bed at night staring at the ceiling as their life's work has crumbled or apparently crumbled, and how are they going to rescue it? So we'll have some webinar there. So with that said, this is how you can contact us if you'd like to contact us, and I will open it up to questions right now. And we have our first question. So Dan asks, what is the next or biggest risk you see on the horizon? Great question, Dan. I think there are two, and the first one is the obvious one, which is we hit a second wave of this pandemic, which forces us all back into this hole, if you will, wherever we are. And I think for those of us who are not preparing for that right now, shame on us, right? Because the odds are there will be some form of a shutdown somewhere, maybe not as deep as this one or as long as this one or as nationwide as this one, but odds are there will be some sort of shutdown, even if it's for a short period of time. So preparing for that. And then the second risk that I see that's really, and I don't necessarily have the answer to this, but is the loss of the internet. So think about how much we all going remote, doing stuff like this. Everything that we do, we access through the internet. So it's one of the things that we're worrying about. And now some people might be saying, hey, Rick, there's no way we could ever lose the internet, right? And that's a reasonable answer. But to those people, I say, on January 1st, 2020, when we were all making our New Year's resolutions, would we have ever have thought what has happened on March 15th to today? Would we have ever thought and bet any money that that could have happened and where we are today? So I use that as an example to say, we don't know what can and can't happen, but if it's a risk, then we need to prepare for it. So how are we preparing for it? And I'm not totally sure yet that this is the right answer or the perfect answer, but it really has to do with data, right? So we are collecting cell phone information for everyone in our database. So we have about 76,000 business owners and contacts in our database, prospects, clients, centers of influence, and team members. So potentially mobile may be what remains in place. So that's how we might communicate. And then there are other items that we're adding to our client experience and to our team, things that are app driven that are accessed through mobile. So things like GroupMe and Band and Slack and all these other things that can be used as a communication tool with everyone kind of in your world. So Dan, thank you for that question. The next question, okay, so Tara asks, what are you going to do today to minimize risk? So now this is a good question, but this is now this is me and my business. This doesn't mean this is what everyone should do, but what I'm doing at a very high level each and every day is changing my thinking and being open to all possibilities, right? I think the worst thing that I could do or any business leader can do is to think that there are no new opportunities yet, or most important, that on March 15th and before, we did business this way. But I'm not sure that you're going to, in many cases, do business that same way on March 15th in 2020, May 15th, 2020, right? So be open, be flexible to new ideas, and react with an open mind. So that really is how I'm preparing and saying, there is, as an entrepreneur, there is no, right? I believe, yes, we have core business structures, so I'm not going to go become a construction company, but within the human capital space, there are things that we were not doing prior to March 15th, 2020, that we may be doing May 15th, 2020. So being open, having that open mindset, and understanding that if you react quickly, as Mark Cuban kind of is tweeting and blogging about, the next set of great companies are going to come out of this mess. And our intention is to be one of them. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for all of us. So let me just see any more questions. Okay, so doesn't look like there's any more questions. I want to thank you all for attending. I hope that you were all safe. And certainly, please look for the survey that will be coming out in the next couple of hours. We ask you, please, it's all checkbox stuff. It's no-brainer stuff. Please give us that feedback. It helps us get better. And wish you all a safe day. And can't wait to talk to you all, if not before May 15th, but certainly after May 15th, when we're all hopefully back to normal. Thanks, and have a great day.